Oh, hey, welcome to the neighborhood bike shop and another edition of another one of my custom bikes that I built. Now, this one was really weird because I didn't think that this frame was really worth much until I started looking at it. It's a Volks cycle Mark X or Mark 10, and it's 1970s, circa 1970s, right in that area. But when I started looking closer at this frame, it just has got these cool lugs everywhere, and it's really got good steel. It's made really well. It was kind of an interesting brand name. I had never ever heard of them before. And so I cleaned it up and I threw some really cool parts on it, and a lot of green and yellow, you know what I mean? And so I call it Sprite, because lemon lime kind of thing. Anyhow, enough of me jabbering. I'll just take you through the parts on the bike and what I did. Cool, right on. So, as I was saying, this is Sprite, one of the bikes I customized and built up. And like I was saying, it's built on a really unusual frame, or at least it was unusual to me. This Volks cycle Mark X. I don't know if that's a VD. I hope it's not a VD. Anyhow, when I saw this frame, I really didn't think much of it, but then I started looking closer at it. At the lugging on the bike. And I actually kind of fell in love with this bike. Just its cool styling. And the lugs, man, just the lugs. And it's got sweet chunks of chrome on it. It's got a great fork with chrome down on the ends that shines up super nice. And then on the rear seat stays and chain stays, also has chrome on it. So really cool. So my thought was I wanted to make like kind of a gravel grinder, but a casual gravel grinder. So I threw some mustache bars on it, but these mustache bars are a little bit unusual because they have a lot of length in the sweep. So they go the shape of a normal mustache bar, but then the length of the sweep changes to be much longer. And I found it really creates a very comfortable position on the bike. Then off of those bars, I've got green leather bar tape because I'm a fan of leather bar tape. I love it. It's got the best feel, in my opinion, and just is wonderful. And then onto the Velo Orange stem that's on a threaded quill to threadless 1.1/8" conversion. So like this piece right here, I put it on here so that I could run just a regular 1.1/8" stem on it. And I've done this on several of my older bikes because I wanted to run more updated parts on them, and it works really well. Like it's so far I haven't had any problem with it slipping or doing anything like that. And then, of course, if I'm going to do green leather bar tape, I better do some apples or Brooks green apple saddle B17 regular. I love these saddles. I have a bunch of them. And then from there on the brakes, or on the shift pods, shift levers, I have 105s, brand new. Like brand new. They went on this bike and had never been used before. And I found hood covers that would match their shape. It's not a perfect match, but it's close enough for me, and I get that green hood on there, which I think is pretty cool looking. And of course, the green cable housing running out into the Mafac Racers that are in just pristine shape. And if you go on to eBay, you know how much these brakes are worth. They're really, really cool brakes. And They work really, really, really well. And then from there, we might as well go to the drivetrain on it. I've got a set of Bontrager. They are the Race X Lite carbon cranks on the same chain rings that they came on, you know, 53, 39. Then I've got these very interesting pedals. I always look for bizarre parts on all of my builds. And so pedals is one of those places where you can find a really interesting part. Plus its color matched really good with everything else in combination. Like it was kind of a transition from the green on the tires to the green on the pedals, and then the green on the bars, and the green on the seat. So in real life, this bike has a very, I don't know, color balanced look to it. It doesn't look obviously weird, but on camera, it might look a little bit strange, the color combination. But trust me, it works really good. And then on the front derailleur, looks like my potatoes are done. Sweet. Some Duro LX, and it just gives me the range, because it turns out that sometimes you can't use a road bike front derailleur on these older bikes because they just don't move the cage out far enough, the derailleur out far enough outboard to get up into the big chainring. And then onto the Ultegra rear derailleur on some Mafac Ksyrium Equipe, and they're a full matching wheel set on front and rear. Gold chain, which is pretty blingy. And my potatoes are done, which is sweet because I've been boiling them for a while. But one of the things I really wanted to show you guys is what's going on with this rear derailleur. And in the next shot, I'm going to show you what I did that was very interesting on these older bikes, because you can't just run a new componentry set on an older bike without maybe doing a couple tricky things. And this is one that I did that worked really good for me. So hang on a second, I gotta check the taters. All right, so back to the special trick that I did to make it so I can run a regular or modern derailleur on this bike. But first I wanted to show you, like, it actually really works. Very nice. But here's what I did. All right, so what I'm going to show you is my trick to making modern derailleurs work on vintage bikes that don't have a derailleur hanger. The first thing that you're going to need to know about is this component right here. And let me get that in focus. This component right here, it's got an offset bend, which is really important because you can buy them that are just straight and they don't put the derailleur in the right position. It's too far inboard. This gets it to hang in the exact right position. And it's, you know, decently thick, eighth inch, maybe a little bit thicker than the 1/8 inch, and it's steel. So you can align it just like you would with a regular derailleur hanger alignment. The hole in the center works perfect for an M5 bolt. So what I'm going to be doing is I've already got this drilled out right here, and I'm going to, I'm going to clean up those threads that are already in there, and then I'm going to re-drill that out and then tap it for an M5, and I will show you what it takes to do that. So, very first thing is I took the bolt, all right, and then I used a thread gauge to go in and find out what thread count was on the bolt, right, and what size of bolt it is. But it is a 0.8 thread count on it. So I know that's an M5 0.8 tap that I'm going to be using. And then I'm also going to use a drill bit. It is 0.37. So it'll leave room for the threads to go in. And then we'll bolt it all together. So the first thing that I'm going to do is take off the rear wheel and then drill that hole out. This tire is so big on this frame, like I'm squeezing a 700C by 40 tire into a place that they used to have a much skinnier tire. And I think they even ran like the old school 28-inch rim set on them originally. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tap this out. Or I'm going to drill it out in preparation for the tap. So, need my drill. And a little of drilling lube. That's another thing that you'll see people miss, is they won't use any lube when they're drilling through steel. And also, like, I started with a very small drill bit and I worked my way up to the M5. I'm going to the M5 because it'll anchor this much better. I was using an M4 before, but it stripped out because it couldn't take the power of the spring in the rear derailleur, and it was making it perform weird. So, we got lube in there. Should be able to knock this right out. And I'm trying to be gentle with it. I'm not trying to manhandle it or power it. I just want to clean that out. No problem. Always put my tools away as I use them. Okay, now I'm just taking my Park Tool tapping handle and getting my tap installed. And if you haven't ever done this, if you haven't ever tapped anything, it's really not that bad. Just when you're doing it, give it room, like get it going. And once it's in there a bit and established what's going on, it'll kind of self-guide itself, as it were, to go through. To maybe get it closer so that it will start easier. Hopefully that will make the difference in the world right there. That may be the ticket. Seems like I'm getting good bite. I'm not forcing anything. Backing up to crack off the bits. Now I'm going to take off my C-clamp. Because I don't want that wood to force it to strip out. And bingo, that's what we were looking for. A clean set of M5 0.8 thread pit count tapping. But as you can see, I had to move gradually up to where I wanted it to be for it to make it work appropriately. And now for the proof in the pudding. Sweet, M5. Okay, now with that drilled out, I have my M5 bolt, and I have some blue Loctite on it. And I'm going to take my component and bolt it to the frame. Now, the way that they normally accomplish this with these hangers, with these black hangers, is a bolt that anchors into the dropout, which limits how far you can push the wheel back, which means that you can't use a big tire like I want to use on this bike. So when I get that in there, I want it in pretty tight, but I do not want to overstress those threads at all. Like maybe 4 newtons, maybe. And the derailleur goes on. Giving me an idea of how tight we really need to be. A little bit tighter than what it is. Okay, I want to sneak up on this thing, so I'm going to check that it's at 4 right now and not above that. By the way, I love this tool. It is absolutely awesome. Especially if you're doing checkups on bikes before they go out on the sales floor. You can go through and check all the torque on everything really pretty quick. Okay. That's 4 Newton meters of torque on that. I think that should be enough to keep it in place. I'm going to double check this down the road after I've ridden this bike quite a bit, just to make sure that this is holding still. When the axle is in here, it acts like a double anchor and keeps it in place. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on. One moment. Okay, another thing that you have to do, or one of the things I did on this bike originally before I put it all together, since I just took it apart, but before I put it all together, I had to spread out the rear chainstay to about 160 millimeters using my Hosan chainstay spreader, this tool right here. Since taking this off to make this adjustment to this bolt, it has shown me that it has returned to its shape quite a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and stretch it out and make it so that it fits right on. All right, so I had to get it spread out into the nominal place, and then the rear wheel went right on. But that tells me that the next time I do service on this bike, I need to double check that aspect of it and make sure that everything is seated correctly and is in line. And should be able to. Okay, now I just need to tune it and we should be good to go. All right, so that was a way more crazy like side road we went down there to repair this or replace it. I had an M4 tapped in here. It got stripped out. It wasn't working correctly, so I upgraded to an M5. But that took us a while. You see in the video to get it into exactly the right place. But one of the other things that I had to do is the tires that I put on this custom build, like I said, they ran like 28-inch tires originally on this frame. And so putting 700C 40s on it is a squeak. And I had forgotten that you have to flatten the tire to put it on or take it off. But that's a reality of some of these tight-fitting things that I do sometimes. Anyhow, that's an overview and a little bit of a build situation on my Volks cycle Mark X. And I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Neighborhood Bike Shop. I am getting ready to start a project that I'm really excited for. Again, thank you again if you check this out. and go ahead and give me a like and a subscribe, especially because very soon, like maybe today, maybe tomorrow, I'm going to be putting together this beautiful AMP Research B3 with all these rad parts, man. It is going to be really a very, very cool build. Anyhow, thank you for stopping by. And like I said, I hope you dig what I'm doing and you check out my content. I'm just trying to make it better. I'm just working on little things here and there. Got this cheesy editing software. My high-end Photoshop software was just not doing what I needed to do. So I got some freebie software that seems to be working pretty good. I am open to any suggestions that you guys might have on what I'm doing that you might want to see more of or less of, or what you're digging or hating or whatever. Maybe less of the hating, but unless it's constructive criticism, cool. Anyhow, yeah, this is going to be fun. I hope you check it out. And oh, by the way, I just had a tooth removed recently, and I've got 2 more that are coming out in about 5 weeks. And right now, the first one's been covered by insurance, but I don't know if the rest of them are going to be covered. So if you can, please donate to my medical fund that's down in the description below. $2, $3, $5, $10, $100, $1,000 would be anything, seriously, $1 would be fine with me. If you can just help me out a little bit and I can get enough people to throw into the hat, I'm going to be in a much better shape as we go into spring. Okay. Love you guys. Thank you for hanging out with me at the neighborhood bike shop. I'll talk to you later. Peace.